There's so many things we could do for ourselves. There's so many things that we would want to be represented. A woman coming from the coast, going to seek opportunities outside the coast region is incredibly disappointing. But a woman coming from upcountry, coming here looking for opportunities, easy peasy for them because they know how to talk. They are not Waswahili, si watu fulani, and that is where we fall short. And to be honest, this is not my best, I have to say this is not my strongest suit being in politics, but because I'm very passionate about the community that supported me throughout my medical career, throughout my opportunities, it is almost an obligation that I pass it down to as many women from Coast as possible.
Thank you so much. Our next panelist, 2 minutes kindly.
How do we even top that? Hi, my name is Munira Salim. I like to call myself an educationist. I run an organization called DEAN, Development and Education Empowerment Network, and I direct a company called Creed in Africa Limited, mainly to assist women and youth better their business, upscale their businesses. I am an author. I sit on the board of 2 primary schools, public primary schools in Mombasa. And yes, in a nutshell, nice to be here.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Kwa majina naitwa Zainab Bashir. Mimi ni mfanyi biashara. I own a Swahili spa and salon. And mimi kama Zainab niko na aim, niko na goals. And my main aim is focusing on bringing relaxing services to women in our society. Shukran.
Thank you so much. So, on to our questions. What moment made you realize your voice truly matters, especially as the women who are here who want to get into leadership? So for you, what moment in your life it clicked that my voice actually matters to the society and to women? Yes.
Okay, I come from a Swahili household. Mimi ni mtoto wa Kiswahili. Katika nyumba yetu kuna vitu muhimu kama alivyosema Munira. You need to be a very good cook. You need to be a very gentle woman. Yani wewe mambo ya usafi, mambo ya nyumbani, you need to be really good at it. I lost my mom when I was 17, and by the time I was turning 18, completing my high school, I was married off. For a little girl, that means somebody else is dictating how your life should go like. Somebody else is living your life on your behalf. When I went to uni, I was married, and it was like this. If you want to go to university, you have to get married. You cannot go to university all the way to Nairobi, na wewe ni mtoto wa Kiswahili. Kama si hivyo kaa hapa nyumbani, kasome kushona, ushone. At that time, I thought kushona was a bad thing, but I found so much joy in it that I feel like it's a skill as many people should have, kushona. Back to it. So when I was joining university, I was married, and then I had to get a job to support, and I remember the first year I was like, okay, this is all right. Maybe now that my mom has passed, this is an opportunity for me to start my own family and all of that. And I realized I kept living somebody else's life until I was in my 4th year, and I decided to now speak. When you're told do this, I have to know why you want me to do that, because I don't think that is. Because my whole life felt like somebody else was directing it and living it the way they wanted it. And you would imagine how that makes you feel. You almost don't have a voice to say what you think. You cannot speak your mind. You cannot do that because it doesn't matter. What do you want to say? And the big people or the elders or the wazee wa nyumbani wameshazungumza. So I remember when I was in 4th year, I'm married, I'm working, I'm in school, I have a child. It was a lot for one person, and still my life is being driven by people, by family. Usifanye hivi, usifanye hivi, fanya hivi, fanya hivi. And I asked myself one time while I was speaking to my parents, what do you think Hafidha wants? And my dad said, Hafidha wants what we say she wants. And in that very moment, I realized it was very important for me to have an individual voice, and everything changed since. I think I was 23 then.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Yes, the same question. At what point in your journey did you come to realize your voice really matters? 2 minutes for each question, kindly, because of time.
There's this program called Jamii Femmes, and if at any point I need to speak about impact, then this is the moment I talk about it. It's a program that hosted about 2,000 women across Nigeria, Kenya, and Cote d'Ivoire. And I was chosen to be one of the moderators of the platform. So the moment that made me feel so proud is when you get someone who has done masters or a doctor or a PhD texting you, can you help me out? So that for me was it. Like it was the most proudest moment for me to be able to guide women into the, it's actually a course that we were supposed to take about 6 months. So I was guiding about 2,000 women across Kenya, Kenya and Ivory Coast and Nigeria. So that for me was it. Yes.
A round of applause. Yes.
Ningependa nijieleze kwa Kiswahili.
Sawa sawa.
Mimi sikujua kuwa niko na talent fulani kuanzia hapo. So kama venye mheshimiwa ametusisitiza, knowledge, elimu ni kila kitu na we all need it. Some of us we went to school, yes, but imebidi umekaa nyumbani, hakuna kazi. Mtaani hakuna kazi, tunapoishi kwetu majumbani kazi hakuna. Until one day, let me tell you a short story maybe. I was once married to a very wealthy man. Lakini ni the type of man ambaye alikuwa, maybe he saw my potential. Huyu nikimwachilia tu hivi, ama nikimpa fursa ya kufanya kazi, ama ya kufanya biashara, it's when maybe he felt he will lose me. So, nilikuwa kuna, unajua sisi kama Waswahili, especially wa Mombasa, tukiposwa tu, unapelekwa mahali, unaambiwa mwanamume afanywe hivi, mwanamume afanywe hivi. Yani it's always about the guy, the husband, not about you, ama both of you. So anyway, mimi nilikuwa nikimfanyia mume wangu singo na masaji ya Kiswahili. So you can imagine, whenever namkanda, namsinga, he was like, Zainab, ukija kufungua sehemu, aisiwa utapata watu. Then I'm like, okay baby, basi nifungulie, nifanyie. Kumbe umemweka seal. Hakutaka. So Mungu ana mipango yake. We got divorced. And immediately after my divorce, after 4 months, ndio Swahili single ilizaliwa. Na haikuanza immediately. So one day, we used to have a shop in town. My mom is a teacher by profession and she's also a business lady. So mimi nilikuliwa kwenye environment ya kupenda biashara. Unapata pesa inaingia, inatoka, unafilisika, siku zinakwenda. So one day kulikuwa na daktari alikuwa amevuka kutoka South Coast. She came to buy a product from me. I used to sell these products za Swahili single, the facial and the scrub. So kiufupi akavutiwa na akaniambia kwa yeye ni bibi harusi wa December, and that was September. Na Zainab, do you offer services? I was almost telling her, no, I don't offer service. Then I remembered, mamangu kila siku alikuwa akituambia, mwanamke hafai kusema sina, siwezi, sitaki, nini. Wewe mtu akikwambia waweza, ndiyo naweza. Nenda kafanya uharibikiwe kule mbele, but you tried. And make effort. Kumbe uweza jaribu kitu and it works for you. So mimi nikawa nimechoka hiyo siku, but nikamwambia tu, ndiyo nafanya. Ndio hapo nikamtoa huyo mwanamke, nikaenda naye kwangu. Nilipoachwa mume wangu aliniacha ndani ya hiyo nyumba. Utakachofanya rent ilikuwa nalipa 40,000 per month. You can imagine. But I never left the house. Tukaendelea kuishi hapo hapo. Nikachukua godoro la dada wa kazi, nikaeka kwenye room yangu chini, nikamtoa yule daktari wa watu, akaniamini. Nikamkanda, nikamsinga, nikamfanya uso for 2 good hours. Mwanamke wa watu mwenzenu alilala, angorota, nyuta ameziacha chini. So I realized it's the feeling, you know. Mheshimiwa yeye anauza hope. Mimi, I realized I can sell the feeling. Because I made her feel good. I made her feel beautiful. I made her feel loved, you know. Na ndivyo wanawake tunahitaji. Tunahitaji kujihisi we ni mwanamke. So by then, akaniuliza hiyo ni pesa ngapi? How much do you charge for all the service? Mimi nikamwambia na charge 1,000 tu. Ananiambia Zainab, are you sure? Nikamwambia ndio. Believe you me, alilipa 5,000 for the next sessions. Ile 5,000 aliponipa kwangu, it felt like 5 million ama 50,000. It was too much for me. So by the, kuanzia hapo ndo nikaona kumbe naweza kuanza biashara na inshallah inaweza kunawiri na ikafika mbali. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. I think we have realized from their journeys that everybody's journey is different. Sindio? Munira's journey is not Dr. Hafidha's journey. They are all different. So even in our lives, I am not supposed to look at Hafidha and say, I want to be exactly like Hafidha. Authenticity matters. We are all born to do something very specific. So in your journey, you're supposed to realize what is the turning point for me, which is the exact thing I'm supposed to do it and pursue it. The minute you remain authentic, people will begin to rally behind you. Sawa sawa? Yes, thank you so much. So for our second question, as a woman in your respective fields, how do you handle being underestimated or overlooked? We start from that other side, please, now.
Okay, for me kama mwanamke, changamoto ni nyingi. Kila biashara haikosi changamoto. Kama mimi tangu nilipoanza mpaka sasa, changamoto mojawapo ilikuwa ni making good use of the social media. I believe if you are a business woman na unataka kuwa into business, you must make good use of the social media. Tunajua ukiingia kwenye TikTok siku hizi watu wanakata mauno, watu watukanana, watu wafanya nini, but then kimimi nikaona I can always be different because I have my own goals. I know what I want pale TikTok. Nakumbuka nikianza nilikuwa sieki sura zangu, naeka tu kamera ya nyuma naonyesha what I do. Then I realized ukionyesha uso, you meet people that know you. Kumbe ulisoma naye high school. Kumbe liishi na yeye. So unapata attract people, especially being a business woman, people buy what you show them. You know, it doesn't mean that product yangu ni nzuri, no. They are buying you. They are buying my face. They are buying my story. They are buying everything that you see in me. So unapata kama changamoto ya familia kuambia wewe mwanamke wa Kiislamu, waingia vipi TikTok, waonekana na wanaume, sauti yako, ilhali badala wao wakushike mkono, wakusaidie, wakutoe katika sehemu moja hadi nyingine. Ama kwa mfano nilipokuwa naanza nilikuwa natumia mashuka haya ya kawaida. Unapata wafanyikazi hawawezi kukaa ndani ya nyumba. You can imagine single na manjano, mashiti zote huwa zimebadilika rangi, sio? Na wasichana wa kazi hawezi tena kukaa, badala wao watoe ushauri, waseme maybe tuweza kukuletea disposable panties, disposable sheets. Kidogo kazi kwangu inakuwa rahisi. But believe you me, I was supported by strangers. I was supported by watu ambao I have never met them. Mtu anakuja mwanamke ameona na mkanda na msinga anashika shiti. Zaina, bile ni shiti. Usijali. Next week mimi naenda Dubai. Nikija nakuletea kitu fulani. So haungoji kesho yake vile vifaa alokuletea ushona raha yake viishe, ndo anakupa ile akili ya kwenda ku research. Next time zile zikiisha you order by yourself.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Before she answers, as she has said in business, that people do not necessarily buy your product. People buy who you are as a person. So even as a business person, as you build your brand, ensure you also building yourself, okay? There is a product I was seeing online. As I look at it, I am really not seeing the value of it, but it's valued for $100. And I'm wondering why. But the person who owns the product is the one that is raising that product to $100, okay? So if you raise your worth as a brand, whatsoever you bring to the market immediately becomes worthy. Sawa sawa? Yes, thank you. So in your specific field, how do you handle being overlooked or underestimated as a woman, especially because you're not a man? Yes, thank you so much.
My answer will sound a bit funny. I become blind to that, deaf to that. Like, I don't allow any outside voices inside me, period. So I walk, I move forward, hata ukiniita, whatever you say, I don't listen. So it's just blocking all these things into you, because they then start bringing you down. So just block, I just block, yeah.
Thank you.
Hata kwa WhatsApp pia una block.
Tumesikia mtu akileta negativity WhatsApp unafanya nini? Ati unafanya nini? Bas, thank you. So Dr. Hafidha, especially because you're in the political space, for the ladies who want to join the political space, kindly tell us, how do you handle being overlooked, especially because this is a sector that is very male dominated? Thank you.
Okay. I think sometimes I question, why am I doing this in the first place? Because of all the challenges I experience. You know, when you are not in a specific field, and then you want to transition into that field for whatever reason, passion, a calling, or whatever, or maybe, you know, politics is one of the most lucrative jobs in the whole world. So when you think about it in those contexts, you see, while I'm starting, I wanted to become woman representative after maandamano. Growing up, I always knew I was going to be in leadership and governance in Kenya and globally. I always had that vision. I knew how I wanted it to look like. In fact, at some point, I used to say, there's nothing that would give me so much joy than empowering young girls and even elderly women like my grandma. Nyanyangu ameuza mitai muda mrefu sana, but she started establishing premises where she sold mitais and chai when she was nearly in her 60s. And it was because of how much we used to encourage her. We used to tell her, "Ay, mother, you can do this. Mother, you can do this." If you know my story, you know my whole childhood, mimi nilikuwa nauza mitai before going to school. Now, being in politics as a young woman has been one of the most excruciating experiences. You will get referred and recommended to as many political figures to mentor you and whatever. One of my recent experiences, I was almost assaulted in public because I could not comply to that specific mheshimiwa's needs. I remember, I was linked by Mhesh, when you are a woman, if it is, I don't know why it's breaking, woman rep, it is important with the governor. When you're a woman representative, it becomes easy to pair you with a governor because accumulating resources becomes easy. So I was linked up to an aspirant. When I went to meet them, we spoke. Before even speaking, I was just walking into that. It was a restaurant. We went to the smoking area. I was like, okay. So in that specific day, everywhere I go, I usually go with my team. And if I can't go with my team, I have company. But let me tell you, there is the person you see on TV, and there is the real person, the one that carries themselves. I was looking at this man, and I'm thinking, this is a Muslim man, he has a good reputation, people are speaking nice things about him. I should definitely go, it's safe, I can do this. I remember before I even sat down, he started saying, "Eish, vile umependeza saizi, if you give me a job, I'm going to enjoy it." And my heart sank kidogo, and this is something that, not kidogo sana. A lot of people used to tell me, utapata hizi vitu. A lot of people will want sexual favors, sexual exchanges with I don't know what. And it was brutal. It put me down. And it went sideways. I was like, okay. I tried to rush into the conversation. I was like, my name is, anambia tulia. Shida yenu nyinyi waheshimiwa ni nyinyi Gen Zs mna haraka sana, mna mbio sana. You think, and started speaking in a very condescending manner. And before I could know, he started back into the sexual conversation. Ka hivi, fanya hivi, fanya hivi. And I imagined when I wanted to leave, I was pulled, I was dragged, niko mbele za watu nakwambia. So my first instinct was to look for cameras. Tafuta kamera gani? Hapa hakuna kamera. And I was like, oh Lord. So I tried leaving the space, and when I went home I was so traumatized. I cried the whole way, especially when you're a gender-based violence recovery officer. It hits you where it, and it really put me down. I was depressed for months. At some point I wanted to pull out, but every time I remember what and why I want to do, and for this specific reason is why we need to step into leadership and political spaces, it gives me the motivation to keep going. And it was not just the first. When you're a young woman like myself, you're starting in your career, you're just only stabilizing, you need to collect as many resources as possible. You can imagine somebody tells you, yeah, that's what you want a car? Manake hatuna gari, hatuna lolote. You can imagine campaigning the whole Mombasa, 30 words, and you have a team. So transportation almost eats the most. And you want a car, come. And then they show you the car, they show you the details, and then they tell you, come for dinner so that you can sign for this paper. This is another example that I experienced. And I go for this dinner. Of course, I come with my team. They take a different table, and then they're like, so I'm eating. I'm a fast eater, naturally. If you eat with me, you know I eat only 5 minutes. But that time, I tried to go about 15 minutes with my food, and then I had dessert, and then it was time to leave. So nikamwambia, jamani, si tumalize with the signatures and the formalities. And he was like, what's the rush? I booked us a room. So these are challenges that I experience every single time. And you can imagine, as a young woman, you were trying politics for the first time, how outrageous it is. Because a lot of people don't even think that you can make it that far. Alafu pia wanajiuliza, jamani nikimpa huyu, nitampa wangapi niwasaidie? How many will I give them to support this community? So you end up home depressed, you need resources, you need a lot of things, but you don't have them. So even the strategies of campaigning changes. Because you can imagine this, hapa sisi tushazoea kupewa unga wa sima, tupewe shilingi 100, tufanye nini. That is the only campaign that people understand. So there are so many challenges that it comes with. But I'll tell you for sure, why do you want to do it and what do you want to change? When that is so clear for you, it becomes easier to penetrate through the obstacles. And I keep reminding myself, this is a future that I am not making just for myself, but generations to come. And I'm a mother to a daughter. I want my daughter to grow up in a very safe community where she can get as much empowerment as possible with the leaders, not leaders that look like predators.
Okay, thank you so much. I think on behalf of these ladies, we apologize on behalf of these men to Dr. Hafidha, right? Yes. One thing we have noticed that there are so many challenges when it comes to walking through your purpose. Sindio? So right now, because we have discovered what our purposes are, I want you after today, sit down and think, which are the challenges that I might face as I'm pursuing what I want to do, okay? Then also think, as Dr. Hafidha has said, think about your why. Why do I want to see women empowered? Why do I want to grow this business? Why? The why is very important. Why? Because when you face those challenges, it is what will keep you moving forward. You will tell yourself, as Dr. Hafidha said, I might be facing all these men who look good but are predators, but my why is very important. I have to create a safe community for other women in Mombasa. I will still continue moving forward. All right? Yes, thank you so much. On to our next question. It is normally said that women are their own enemies. Okay? I have heard people say, I'm sure you have also heard people say that, right? So now how can we break that notion in society? How can we ensure that women begin supporting other women? That instead of me looking at Dr. Hafidha and wanting to bring her down, how can women grow to a point that when I see whatever Dr. Hafidha is doing, I want to support her. I want all of us to grow together. Yes, Dr. Hafidha.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Wana
5 minutes, kindly.
Huku kwetu Mombasa tuna shida moja, the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset goes about when you see someone doing the same thing that you are doing, when you see someone doing the same thing, you don't want them to do it. So you'll start hiding opportunities from them. You start, just acting funny, or somebody tells you, you're doing this and I want to do it as well. Instead of, you know, inviting them, supporting them, encouraging them, you're fast to put them down. But I'll tell you what, if you go across the streets, or if you're a business person, you will realize hakuna duka moja hapa kutauzwa tuseme vifaa vya stima, fan, alafu next upate wanauza bidhaa za matatu, next wanauza curry powder. It doesn't work like that. You will find 5 shops wanauza curry powder. You will find 10 shops wanauza engines and what. That is just how it is. Instead of ukienda umeenda kutafuta kiatu tuseme marikiti, ukose size yako, what do? They seek in the next shop because they're not thinking nikimpa huyu customer mimi nimekosa customer. They're thinking if we collaborate, then there's supply, there's circulation of businesses around us. And this is a mentality we all need to have. If we are all therapists here, it does not hurt for us to grow together. That means the quality of services that we can give to these people is improved because of the collaborations and no loopholes. When you see someone doing something that you're already doing, instead of looking with a perceiving eye, sasa ule yafanya nini? Mbona yafanya hivi? Yule yajisikia, I get that a lot. Huyu huwa yajibandika sana umsichana. Umsichana huwa jiona sana umsichana. But just like my sister here, Munira, I don't listen to none of that because I am the vision bearer. I know where I'm going and I know where I want to go. So when we collaborate more, it becomes easier to generate not only resources but to accumulate wealth because it gets to circulate just within ourselves. But when we look at things with a scarcity mindset, you're looking something with a perceiving eye. You're even blocking yourself from growing and evolving because you will keep shying from seeking mentorship, from seeking support, from seeking guidance from those same people who are thriving in the same business as you are.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Before we continue, let me invite my president, Halima. A minute, allow her to interject for a minute.
Hello, I hope you're learning from these amazing women here. Tunasoma kitu. You see, they have walked the journey and we're walking the journey. And they're inspiration to us. It's always amazing to hear from women that have gone ahead of us. I actually love it, learning from someone. It isn't your journey. Unajua what you expect ahead. Sindio? They've seen the barriers, the challenges, so we can learn from them. So this moment will allow Mheshimiwa to leave. Thank you so much for coming, sir. We truly appreciate you. And for believing in young girls. Yeah, thank you so much. So we'll allow him to leave. And then the panel discussion will proceed. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Alima? Yes.
This one it's a bit painful because most of the times the people who bring you down are people who are around you. Because someone who doesn't know you doesn't care what you do. And I remember when I was launching my book, February 10th, that was also my birthday, I put a post about the event. Whoever came. Surprisingly, one of a good friend of mine was questioned by her friend, why did you attend her event? So this is a girl that we've grown up in the same neighborhood. I come from Old Town. This is a girl who I see, she posts things and I repost. This is a girl who a woman rather, that I find opportunities and I push it into her inbox. This is a woman whom I'd call for lunch. So my point is, most of the people who will bring you down are people who are around you. I am a firm believer of however, as I said earlier, however you try to light other people's candles, it will never make yours any dimmer. And I think we should all go back to the scripts. Quran, Bible, hazina tofauti hivyo sana. It's about being humble, being a good person. And if you are a good person, you'll easily help another person. But if uko na ile roho mbaya, roho ya ubinafsi, it will always be hard to help other people. So for me, it's mainly about going back to the scripts and learning, because in Islam we believe when you help someone, especially someone who is in need, God comes to you in so many folds. So we just have to have this in mind. And again, look at the Somalis, look at the Indians, the Badalas, the Aga Khan. What makes them very successful is that they don't work in silos. They work in groups. They work in community, and they work to uplift one another. Then why can't we copy that? And sisi wenyewe tujiinue. And I think even you bringing in different stakeholders from different organizations, you've done it. So we should have more of this, so that we can bring women from all walks of life together and have one voice. Yeah.
A round of applause. Yes.
Okay, kama mfanyabiashara, wengi wenu hapa najua munasoma, maybe mungependa pia mufanye biashara kadhaa, lakini unapata mtu anaangalia Munira siweza kupika mayai, mimi pia naweza kupika ile mayai yake. Nitawapa mfano mdogo. Sasa nani hajui chenye kina trend Mombasa? Kila mtu yuauza seafood boil. Have you seen that? Kila mmoja yuajifanya yeye ni mzuri kuliko mwingine. Alafu tuko na ile mentality sisi tunasema risk yatoka kwa Mungu, but it shouldn't be that way. Na kwa upande mwingine kama mfanyabiashara, competition is what do we say? It's good yani. Unaona sababu unamkimbiza yule ambaye yuko nyuma yako. But still kama mfanyabiashara kama mimi nimeamua kuwa different. Nimeamua kuwa na uniqueness in what I do. Spa pa Mombasa ni ngapi? Ni nyingi sana. Na unapata spa zenyewe ni spa za matajiri, spa ambazo yani ukiingia hata utaki kutoka, sio? But it doesn't mean Madamu Munira anafanya spa, anafanya scrub nini, I should do whatever she's doing. Vidole havifanani. I can always find my own ways. I can always do my own things. Na nikawa kivengine, nikapata muonekano mwingine. Ndio ukapata nikaamua kuanzisha spa, not only a spa but iwe kama nyumbani, iwe ni ya Kiswahili. Na mimi kama mtoto wa Kiswahili nimezaliwa, nimelelewa Mombasa, nimesoma Mombasa, ndio unapata ukija kwetu, unapata ile home environment. Waswahili ukiingia ndani ya nyumba kitu cha kwanza unakaribishwa na glasi ya maji. Ndivyo. Saluni, hakuna saluni Mombasa utaenda upewe maji, bali kama utapewa maji ujue utalipia. Ukweli ama urongo? Kwa hivyo nimeshakukaribisha, wewe mwenyewe utajisi vipi? You are like, Zainab, you are too good. Yani unaona unafanya yule mtu ana gain trust kabla hata hajahudumiwa. Amekaa pale, umechukua buibui lake umemwekea, bado ameingia ndani. Unapata kwenye kitanda tumempambia room, tumemwekea petals. Watu wengine nyinyi labda mwapewa na maboyfriend peke yake. Sisi ambao hatuna waume, hatuna maboyfriend, yamaanisha we can't receive love from outside. We can. That's why we created a place, a safe place for women, for single women, for married women. Mtu akija pale anajihisi ile wood, the aroma tayari, it makes you relax. Kitu kingine kama kwangu, ukishafanyiwa service, you get a cup of tea for free. Chai yenyewe tunaita chai ya mahaba. Why do we call it chai ya mahaba? It's chai tamu. Chai si chai. For those who have been in my place, maybe, I can see Shazin is here with us. Unaona, kuna mtu aliwahi kuniambia, Zainab, hii chai, si ulipishe hii chai, Zainab utakuwa tajiri. Nikamwambia kama ni umaskini, utajiri sababu ya chai, wacha tu nife maskini. So sometimes being a business person, it's not about money. Ni mtu amekuja, Munira amekuja kwangu, amefurahikia, wafikiri atakwenda bila kukuombea dua. So it is the prayers that keep us going. Sometimes it's not about pesa. Tusiweke pesa mbele. Usione mimi nafanya ukaona napata sana. Hujui ni zile dua. Mtu amekuja ngozi haiangaliliki, ametoka ameng'ara. Hata kuombea Mungu, ama sawa asipokuombea Mungu, Mungu hata kubariki, atakubariki sababu umemnyenyekea yule mtu, umemhudumia, umemcharge pesa kidogo na ametoka na muonekana. Kwa hivyo Mombasa, we need to change. Tusikopiziane sana. Kuna mmoja asheni kopizia mpaka the logos and everything. Lakini you have to know why you are doing this, why you're different. Mimi ninavyofanya si watu ukikopizia, you can never kopizia originality. That's always what I believe. Thank you.
A round of applause. A round of applause. I want you to look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor something. Tell them, learn to be a girl's girl. Kuna mtu haambi neighbor wake. Look at your neighbor and tell them, learn to be a girl's girl. Now, do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? Okay, who knows? Whoever will tell me and equate whatever I have in mind, one of our sponsors left one drink that I will gift them with. Whoever will tell me whatever is in my mind when I say learn to be a girl's girl. No, Flora atatoka na kila kitu. Someone else. Can you have the mic? Someone else. Let us have the lady in the orange hijab.
So thank you so much. According to me, being a girl's girl means if I know there's something happening with my girl, I'm there for her, to support her, to be the cheerleader, to bring that opportunities to her. I've heard a lot of people keep quiet on issues of opportunities, like, do you know somebody who can do this? And they'd actually keep quiet on that. When I'm in Nakuru and I'm unable to attend counseling sessions, I usually give them contacts. Like, you know what, I'm not around, but you can look at this and this and this. And that is what I think being a girl's girl is. That is one. Second, it's also advocating for that girl anywhere. I remember yesterday when I was raising my hand and nobody said, hey, she is, I brought that out. I was like, we should be advocates of ourselves. We don't have to wait for a leader to say this is what we are doing. We have to be there for each other. So we create that safe space for ourselves, being a girl's girl.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the two. Do we have one? One more?
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Wa kwanza kuinua mkono.
Okay.
I think the one, she was the first one, with the red sweater.
Me, I would say being a girl's girl is like, you appreciate, like, for example, I have this is my friend, like, nafurahia kuona chenye anafanya, like, sina wivu, I empower her, like, unafanya hivi, go girl, you can, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Only two responses. We will decide, Danny will give that drink. Sawa sawa? Yes. No more responses, only those two. When you see opportunities, you run for them. Sawa sawa? So being a girl's girl mainly means you have friends, you have ladies amongst you. I'm just adding to whatever they have said. You have friends, you have ladies amongst you. Instead of seeing, huyu rafiki yangu ameanza kurise sana, opportunities are following her, and you begin kumwonea wivu, what if you become their biggest advocate? Sindio? What if you become their biggest marketer? For example, I have friends that do business. Instead of looking at them, nione nikimsupport, hii biashara yake itaendelea alafu mimi nibaki hapa. What if every single person I meet that I know will be helped by her, nimwambie, there is somebody good who can do this. Okay? Instead of ladies fixating ourselves on jealousy, I'm jealous about what Hafidha is doing. Why are opportunities going to Hafidha and not me? Why should I not advertise her? And one thing I have realized in my journey, the day I began to support other ladies, surprisingly, miraculously, opportunities also began opening up for me. Okay? It is the way the universe appreciates people who appreciate other people. But ukikuwa yule mtu, you never help others grow, you will never grow. All right? You will never grow. You will always remain stagnated. We say we rise by lifting others up. All right? We rise by lifting others up. What do we rise? We rise. So do we promise ourselves that even as we do those action plans, that we will help each other rise? Right? We rise by lifting others up. Now time is not on our side. On our last question, 2 minutes kindly. On our last question, what does impactful leadership look like beyond titles? That do I need to be an MP to cause change in my area? Do I need to have a certain title to bring change? Or can I have impact even without a title? Yes, this is our last question. 2 minutes each, maximum 3 minutes. Yes.
Thank you very much. I feel like titles just maybe to other people. You see, when it comes to leadership, different people define leadership differently, yeah? Like I said, when it comes to politics, different people would join politics for different reasons. But there's some of us who genuinely just want to help and want to do the right thing. And doing the right thing does not root from a leadership post or a leadership role. It is something that you can do because service beyond self is something that comes in you, and then you get to exercise it with other people. My trail of thoughts has disappeared because mostly I'm thinking about recognizing Coach Twali, who is a girl's girl. Allow me to say that. And my mind said, you have to say that before you proceed with whatever you want to say. So when it comes to service and impact, I am in the community a lot. There are so many things that we can do in the community without the titles per se. When it comes to deciding what you want to do or what you want to offer the community, it is not something that, let's say you would look, oh, she's doing that and it's going well for them, I want to do that. It usually comes from a point of experience. When I say that a lot of people, some of us actually don't look at the titles, it comes from a point of experience. If not experienced first-hand, experience second-hand, labda na family, friends, or the whole community generally. What it looks like for me, when I became a doctor, my mom had cancer and she died with breast cancer when I was 16, 17. And I remember I really wanted to help cancer patients. I really wanted to help my community, ambapo sisi nyumbani ilikuwa tashangaa tutakula ama tutalipa cancer ama tutalipa school fees, things like those. And I really wanted to show up to my community by being a community doctor. And I remembered when I was coming back from Nairobi in Shasoma, Shapata Kisomo Chango, my certificate now, I'm a doctor, I'm coming back to the community, going to the community, working with CHPs, nani wataka dawa, nani wataka nini, doing consultations for free. I came to realize that my community don't even need, wawata hawahitaji madawa, hawahitaji madaktari. They do, but most of them need a mindset shift. They need a mindset change. And I was thinking, what can I do extra to support my community, shift the mindset from, let's say, everything that is happening in Mombasa, including scarcity mindset. Sisi wengi tumeulewa, tukaachwa. There's so much trauma that revolves around that. Just because you're divorced, you don't have status in the community, or because you're not married. Vitu kama hivyo. So I started going into the community, talking to people, not just about self-awareness, but what can we do in our capacity to improve our livelihoods in Mombasa. And before that, I didn't even think about it in a way that nitakuwa mheshimiwa ama nitakuwa nani. I just thought about it, if I want to scale a bit and even get more support and recognition where resources could be fueled into whatever I am doing, having an organization would be something impactful. So we came up with an organization, Growth Bridge, where we went to the community speaking to people about mental health, personal development, self-identity, things like those. And then it also felt like we can do better. It is how I ended up vying for the woman representative seat. Like I said, just what happened in 2024 June, I was like, if there's anything I can do as a Kenyan youth from Mombasa to change the leadership and our current affairs, I can do that. But it never started from, I want to be a mheshimiwa at some point.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Dr. Hafidha. Munira, before you answer, the question is, how does impactful leadership look like beyond titles? These ladies you see here, they will come up with action plans of the problems they will solve in the community. So with someone with this question in mind, I'm putting myself in their shoes and asking, do I need to vie for a political seat, or do I need to have a lot of money to be able to solve the problem that I will have identified? So with those two in question now, how does impactful leadership look beyond titles?
Okay, leadership okay, impact with title makes it better, makes it easier, because now you have the resources, you have a full room, like you have the people. But again, impact as is impact. Hakuna impact ndogo ama impact dogo. Impact is impact. So for me, if you can even impact one person the whole year, you've done your job. So it's not a matter of how many people or how far you've gone, but if you can just impact one person, like just one person in the community, that's enough. Because with impact, most of the times it gets a spillover. I will impact you, she will impact her, and the impact goes around. So it's not a must to get titles. You don't need to have these big titles. Just sitting with someone and telling that person, you know, I love the way you've done this and that, and you can do better by adding A, B, C, D. You've just impacted that person, and that person will better themselves. And if you just tell someone, I like the way you smile, I like the way you talk, I like just saying something good to someone, that's also an impact, because it makes that person better. And if you feel better, you do better things. And when you talk about impact, personally for me, when the year starts, my target is just to impact one girl, that's it. So hizo zingine zinakuja ni sawa, but my target is always to impact one girl. And I remember when I was speaking to some girls at Mbaraki Secondary School, the same year I was doing my KCSE, and I was telling them, like, you guys, we can do this. I know we've been told that Mbaraki doesn't do well, but I'm sure we can do this. So can you imagine, it was just a conversation. And I normally give these girls my numbers. I tell them, you need someone to talk to, just give me a call, talk to me, text me, let's chat. Because that is one thing I lacked while growing up. So this young girl texts me early this year and tells me, do you know I used to be a D student and I finished with a B minus? Isn't that impact? Because if she feels it, she will definitely be able to transfer it to someone else. So impact has no titles. It shouldn't have titles. If there is titles, the better, but if there isn't, you can still work to impact your community, your family, and even your friends easily.
A round of applause. Zainab, before you answer, let me tweak the question a bit for you. As a business owner, you're the leader of your business. So how are you able to organize your employees or the people under you to ensure that the culture that you have set for them? Also, how do you make the employees feel like this business is not Zainab's, it is ours, so they give it their best? Yes.
Okay. Penye nimefika paka hapa nimefika, nimekutana na title, nimeweza kuajiri msichana mmoja baada ya mwingine. Nilianza mwenyewe nikaajiri msichana wa kwanza, nikaona haitoshi, wa pili hatoshi, wa tatu. As I'm talking to you, I have 10 staff working under me. Na haikuanza rahisi, haikuanza ati tu hivyo nini, no. Ni sababu ya wewe mwenyewe. Be humble, be kind. The least you can do to someone is kindness. Sometimes people come at my place just to see me. Utaona mtu akwambia kama leo asubuhi, clients wawili anambia, "Na mumepotea." Anambia, "Tumepotea, wewe ndio umepotea." Whenever we come, we don't meet you. Unaona? So, I can still lead people without any title. Thank you.
A round of applause. So allow me to come to the floor to take only 3 questions to our panelists. I will take 1 question from each row. And I will start with this row here. If there is any question from this row. Yes? If there is any question from this first row. If there is no question from this first row, this row is now given 2 questions. So yes.
My question goes to Doctor. As you talked first on the first question you were asked about leadership concerning ground with the women, and you mentioned one thing concerning your experience with how people handle you when you go to seek for assistance or to come to the ground to speak. So about that, it was related like GBV, right? So what is your purpose as a woman who is running to be a leader? What are you intended to be with for women who are also undergoing that process in the ground? How are you interacting with them, or how are you planning to help this GBV to end in this section of Mombasa County? Because this is the county that I thought that, I come from Nyanza region. And in Nyanza region, I come from a county whereby GBV is something common to people. And to me, it was not something common. You see? That's why I do say I ran from my home to be here, thinking that I came to a safe place. When I came to Mombasa, the first place I landed was Changamwe. Finding myself nilijipata sehemu inaitwa mainland. Women are being assaulted and they are like tumia madawa za kulevya nini. Unakuta wasichana ni wadogo, ni mtoto mdogo hata under 18 years. What are you going to bring under that? Ili mambo na GBV ipunguke, sisi kama wanawake ama wasichana tuwe free among other people.
Thank you. 2 minutes kindly.
Okay. Thank you very much for that lovely question. Kitu cha kwanza, mimi I am a champion of gender-based violence. I advocate for not only justice but safe spaces and psychological help and support for gender-based violence survivors. It is I can say it is a societal issue. Ni culture yetu. Most of the now reported cases of GBV are actually IPV, intimate partner violence. We are surrounded. You see, if you have a Swahili friend ambaye ameolewa, they are likely, if there are 10 of them in a room, there is a ratio, maybe nearly even 60% have been abused by their husbands. But the culture would tell you, mke mzuri ni mvumilivu, mambo ya nyumbani usiyaseme, mambo ya nyumbani usiyapeleke nje, muombe mumeo, kuwa na subra, maneno kama hayo. So when you're constantly in the society where approves and praises gender-based violence, of course it trickles outside, itatoka sasa kwenye ndoa, ingie kwenye community. So kwenye community utapata wanawake wanapigiwa kelele, wanapigwa. The things we've seen them all over the places. One of the sensitization that we were doing in my organization is moving not only household to household, speaking to people about gender-based violence, intimate partner violence. And one of them, imagine, was assaulted by the husband mlangoni. Wasikiza maneno gani haya? And in that, I was so broken when I went home. I was like, I'm thinking I'm taking safety home. Kumbe I'm only making these people, I'm making it worse. And now instead of going home to home, we call for forums like this. We speak to women about gender-based violence. You have to report it. You have to report it. One of my friends went to prison for murder because she murdered the husband. Not a single time did she ever report. And then one time, ile hasira, she says she just lost it, grabbed a knife and stabbed him neck, stomach, back, everywhere. And this guy died trying kumtoroka yule mwanamke. And imagine, she went to jail, prison for murder, life, only because she has no history of reporting. So it starts with you. When you get assaulted, when your friend wants to tell you about gender-based violence, amepigwa, amefanyika kitu kama hicho, usimwambie mbona usiseme ni urongo ni nini, listen to them, help them report it. Because even when you go to report directly, you will be told, ulikuwa wafanya nini, ulimfanya nini, ulimchiga vipi. So it starts with creating awareness. Right now, it is one of the things that I do together with Coach Ella and with Coach Twali and so many people in the room that I see. We advocate for gender-based violence recovery. We even started creating safe spaces, calling wanawake wananitafuta mimi in social media, they reach out to me, this happened to me. We rented a small 1-bedroom, and we hope to grow where we'd host them, accommodate them when they're not safe. And you can imagine having such projects with zero finances. It has to come from your pocket because you want to do the right thing. So if you are a survivor, it is something that you are facing right now, please report it, talk it out. And we also offer psychological help, and then we baptize you to become a gender-based violence recovery officer as well. There's so much. I wish we could talk. It's very difficult to articulate so much in 2 minutes, but hopefully it's a conversation we can have all together after the session. And for anyone who has a question for me in regard to the same. And the GBV cases are very sensitive. Huwezi kuzianika, huwezi kusema huyu tumemsaidia, huyu tumemfanya nini, huyu tumemweka wapi. So they're very private cases. I'd appreciate tukizungumza one-on-one.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Hafidha. In case you have a question related to that, kindly talk to her after. You had raised your hand. Let me go to her. She had said she had a question.
Thank you so much. To our champion business lady, the one who owns Mesus, or rather a spa, I have a question for you. I'm a beautician by profession, and I've been wanting to start my own beauty spa, but when I look into my finances and everything, like let's say majorly finances, it's like there's a limitation, a major limitation. So how can you advise me in that area? Thank you.
Okay, kukujibu swali kama hilo. Si sote ambao tumebarikiwa, yani like mali, tuseme pesa, mtu ya kukopesha, nini. So my small advice, maybe whatever I change, yani nakuambia through mimi, my experience. Huwa niko kila, whenever I meet such young ladies, huwa nawaambia ama nawakumbusha, start where you are. Use whatever you have. Usingoje kikubwa, hutokipata pale. Kidogo kidogo Mungu anakutilia baraka. Kama mimi nilianza ndani ya nyumba yangu, ndani ya rumu yangu. And to be successful, you must get out of your comfort zone. I believe uko na sehemu unaishi. Maybe for now huwezi rent duka, ama huwezi chukua nyumba useme nianzishe biashara. But you can start penye uko. Ama unaweza kuanza, kuna wao wanafanya home calls, home services. You can start pia na hivyo. Unaona, kidogo unaenda unafanya mtu ndani ya nyumba yake. Though kuna advantages na disadvantages ya kufuata watu majumbani. That's why personally mimi na discourage. Unapata mtu kumbe anakuframe, anakuita Zaina mtaka massage, hiyo kitu pia ilinipitia, but unapata kumbe unaenda kumbe ni mwanamume. Kwa mfano, amekupigia na namba ya mwanamke, so nikawa nina discourage. You must know whom you are dealing to. But I believe you have friends, you have colleagues, they can always refer you. And you are not small. There is no small business. We are all big. Madamu unafanya kitu, na hiyo kitu it's the only source of income. Madamu bora tu ufanye kitu na roho yako yote, love what you do, pray for what you do, and we grow through consistency. I'm sure leo utabeba kitu upeleke ndani ya nyumba, kesho utapata mtu akuajiri, akunyanyase, kesho kuto utapata mali pako. Ni consistency. But the moment ukinyamaza au kui consistent, these people tend to forget that you exist. That's why every day mimi kama Royal Single, I show up for my brand. Hata kama napata watu kwa siku sipati, but every day, paka kuna watu wananiambia ukitaka kujua Zainab ameamka, kitu cha kwanza asubuhi anaweka status. Wenye kuna namba yangu wanaweza nini? Paka nikasema sasa hii now it's too much. I used to sleep usiku mimi nasinga watu usingizini. Nikiamka nitamka saa ngapi mimi ni post. Ushaona? Kwa hivyo ni through consistency, don't give up, start where you are, use the small things that you have, na inshallah utafika mbali.
Thank you so much. A round of applause to Zainab. I'll take 2 questions from this row. 2 questions from this row. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Koki, and I had a question to Dr. Rick. Dealing with young kids from the age of 12 to 15. whereby hii gender-based violence sasa imetoka from our mothers and the young ladies zimekujia watoto wetu. Our generation is now getting rotten, worse than what we thought of. Tulidhani kabla iwafikie itakuwa years to come. But now facing this, I am trying to bring change to my community, whereby one child at a time. But it's now becoming overwhelming because when you solve one case, you find 10 others. So, and I don't have the proper ways or education. So, sisi ni wale whereby I come, help with the experience that I had. So I am trying to change one girl, but end up finding 10 to 20 girls with the same issue. And each time it gets worse. So how can I help, or how can I improve the lives of these girls in the community?
Thank you very much. Kitu cha kwanza, when you are working in the community, it has a ripple effect. When you help one person, kama tu Zainab alivyosema, and it's the same with business. You do one thing and then other opportunities keep coming and coming and coming. So pia mimi nikianza nilikuwa natembea peke yangu in the community. It is very important to acknowledge what is happening to our children. Children are being molested, children are being raped, they're being killed, they're being beaten. And to psychoeducate kwanza, if you have a child or you live near children, it is important to teach them about good touch and bad touch. Siku hizi watoto wako very exposed to social media. We call that technology facilitated gender-based violence. Kwa sababu the information keeps coming to them. You know, when you have a phone, it's like a pool. It's like walking with a dictionary, only that this dictionary keeps updating itself. So sisi wenyewe, we contribute in exposing our children. Mtoto weza kushinda kwa simu, but because you want that free time, you don't want to see what they are going, wanaangalia nini, you know, things like those could put them at risk. Kitu cha pili ni usiku, uweza kupata watembea usiku ni saa 4, ni saa 5, umetoka heka zako, umetoka shughuli. Ndani ya nyumba, okay? By speaking to them, good touch and bad touch. What is good touch? What is bad touch? Do not touch here, do not touch here, do not touch here. All those are bad touches. But you can hug, you can do this. Creating this awareness for the child, it becomes easy for them. Alafu sisi wazazi, watu kwa kali sana. Mtoto akitaka kuambia kitu, ambia urongo, wafanya nini? You can always probe a child to know the truth. You can always probe a child mpaka ujue what is going on. Protecting our children from their uncles, relatives, cousins, even fathers, even mothers do harm their own children. It is important. Yani wewe ukikaa na mtoto lazima umzungumzie. Now to do it communally so that you can help one person or the other, you don't need any certificate to serve your community. You don't need any degree to serve your community. You just have to have the will. And if you can do it for one person, like I started peke yangu and then eventually ventured into an organization so that we can have volunteers in the organization, you'll realize that we did so much more when we were many. When we came together to support the initiative of surveys and awareness generally. Between the age of 12 and 16 in Mombasa, there's a lot of young mothers and adolescent mothers. We just call them that. We call them, we speak to them about self-awareness. We help them go back to school. Hata kama uliza, when you're 12, you can still go back to school, things like those. But you can do it if you do it communally. Even if you cannot register an organization, which even rates I think ziliongezeka, you can do it with your friend. You can call your friend. Teach your friend about the community. I'm sure if you ask around, if you post on the status, there are so many people that want to serve the community. Mda mwingine nakuwa overwhelmed by, Hafidha, I like what you're doing, I want to do it with you. So many people. The more you show up, the more people associate what you do with your brand, it becomes easy for people who want to support in the community to show up. Especially just start with your friends. Everything utaanza na marafiki na familia, wengine watakusupport, wengine hawatakusupport, lakini hautakosa mmoja ambaye atataka kukusupport. Kama uko skuli, talk to your classmates, you know, organize something small. This week I want us to do 1, 2, 3 things. Who is in? That is just how you say generate leads to help back in the community. But peke yako you can do so little. But again, to mirror what Munira has said, it is very important. Ona ile ule mtu mmoja, quality over quantity. You don't have to do all the 20, but you can do 2 and you actually see them through, because that uwezo wako uliishia hapo. Remember, you cannot kill yourself, you cannot drown yourself to support and show up for a community. You can only show up for community when you're in the right mental state and when you are surrounded by a support system. I hope that answers the question. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. So the last question from this room.
Yes, I have a question to Daktari. Personally, from my experience, I was a first-year student when I got pregnant, and that really affected me, and nikapata depression. Kupata mtoi, it was hard. So ukapata hata wenye nakaa nao hanielewi chenye napitia. They're saying, oh, unafanya nini? But kuna place nilipelekwa, it really affected me to a point that nikawa kama cheese. And I went to Portrees. I thank God I met a good doctor there. Akaniambia, is either ukubali kutoka kwa his situation ama you get stuck there. But I thank God right now, I'm in my 4th year, I'm completing my campus. I thank God for that, I healed. But tunapatanga, watu wenye uko nao hawakuelewi chenye unapitia. Mi personally nilikuwa na vitu nyingi, sikupata mtu ananielewa. Hivi ni hivi unapitia. Unaweza na unapatanga vitu zingine mtu by the way shida zingine unajipatanga. Ukupata mtu anakuambia hivi na hivi ndio unapaswa kufanya vitu. Hakuna mtu anakuelewa. Mzazi wangu, I remember back then mamangu neglect, like I had no one. Angenisupport ananiambia hivi na hivi kubali, hivi iko hivi. So mimi kitu ningetaka kukuuliza. Okay, I won't pose it like a question, like, but how can you handle that kind of depression?
I think nimekuelewa. I think postpartum depression is something that affects most mothers, nearly 90-95%. And from my experience, I had postpartum depression because I had a baby, I was working, I was in school, I was a wife. It was a lot for one person. And my postpartum depression appeared in a way that I was rejecting the people around me, including my child. Akifungua mdomo, wewe nyamaza. You know, I get so triggered. Yeah, I remember by the time my daughter was 4 months, I was like, you are not getting none of this. Just to, disconnect with motherhood for a bit. And sometimes when people around you look at you, they're like, you're such a selfish woman, you're such a selfish mom. But I can tell you, as a human being, you are an individual. Before you are a doctor, before you are a mother, before you're a sister, you are a priority to yourself. How do you get to know yourself? This is a question that a lot of people ask. And this is a question a lot of therapists we answer. You need to journal. You need to mirror your thoughts. You need to sit in silence. Sisi ni watu ambao tukifanya mazoezi mziki, we have headphones. Tukikaa nyumbani peke yetu, music. We want to watch, we avoid ourselves so much. We want to hang out with people, we want to be in the community, we want to thrive at work, and then we completely abandon ourselves. We get so soaked with the baby, it's an obsessive compulsive disorder that is very temporary. We all have it and we experience it in phases. If you want to know who you truly are, you need to be comfortable in solitude, you need to be comfortable sitting in silence, and you need to be able to ground yourself and disconnect from people. Mental health is something very sensitive and it affects everyone. Nobody is immune to stress. We have to acknowledge that first. Your depression, nobody is immune to depression. Thing is, how we manage it is what now is where we help and support ourselves from getting disorders like bipolar mood disorder, BMD, depressive episodes, vitu kama hivyo. And sometimes they even end up with like schizophrenia. Hao wentazimu ambao mnaona wanatembea huko nje. It is because at some point they avoided so much of themselves that they got lost in the chaos. So, journaling, meditating, sitting in silence, sitting in solitude, you will get to hear all your thoughts. You will get to even find out what you like. There's a whole lesson on self-awareness where we use the Johari's window, the open area, the hidden area, the blind spot, and unknown area. And in this Johari's window, it suggests that to be aware of yourself is looking at life with a lens where you want to find, you're curious about yourself. Why do I like this? There's so much about yourself that you don't know. But when you read a book, they're describing you and you're like, wow, this is me. You've already found out something about yourself. You know, we do so much when it comes to businesses and even people. If you're like me and you're coming into my life as a partner, I will have to do pros and cons. What are his or her weaknesses? These are questions that we usually ask. Certainly we question people, but we don't question ourselves in that capacity. What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? What can I do to improve on my weaknesses? Some people thrive in maximizing and working on their weaknesses, but you wouldn't know that. But back to postpartum depression. When you're a mom, you need to find a way and disconnect with your child. The mother does not come after the child, or the child does not come after the mom. The mom comes first. In everything, you come first. When you are able to put yourself first, when you're able to focus and prioritize on yourself, it becomes easy to share yourself with people. When you neglect yourself, unajipeana kwa watu, unajipeana kwa mtoto, ndo pale depression inakupata, because it reaches to a point you're so dry, you have nothing else to offer. Now it feels like you're stretching out. So there's the whole aspect of knowing who you are by, being embracing solitude, journaling, meditating, just sitting in silence, allowing all the thoughts to come. A lot of people say, "I siwezi kumeditate, I cannot just sit in silence." So many things, but that is how it should be. When you let all those thoughts, because meditation is not focusing on one thought, it is entertaining all the thoughts that comes. And then now with your friends, you need to have a social life. When you have a child mapema ama nje ya ndoa, muda mingi uangalia, I have failed the community, I have failed my parents, I have failed people. But look at all the things in the positive side so that the negative don't put you down. The more you look at people, watu, and you still want to show up for them, you're likely going to end up depressed. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I add that now that's a perspective of a doctor? Thank you. So this perspective from someone who doesn't know anything about, is not educated on mental health, let me put it that way, for lack of words. I also went through postpartum depression, and that's 2015. I think what helped me the most was, I read a lot, especially the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet. And there's this one message that the Prophet gave us, is your environment that you're going to be in determines a lot. So when you're in an environment where they're selling perfume, maybe you'll go out of that place smelling that particular perfume. And when you're in an environment, wanachoma kama ile chuma, welding, you'll always come out smelling that smoke, or even maybe your clothes tattered or burnt. So I looked at that very clearly and told myself that I need to be in a positive environment. So what helps me is that any person who gives or brings negativity, I put that line, I put that barrier. Because the more you hear about negative things, the more you consume it. Exactly, that's the right word. So whoever it is, and I don't care who it is, even if it is your closest person, even if it is your sister, even if it is your best friend, but brings negativity to you, please shut that door. Because as I was telling a friend of mine the other day, when you die today, we'll cry, and in a month or two, we will forget. And pale ulikuwa unafanya kazi, you will be replaced. So you should always come first. Always you should come first. And this to everyone. If you're not a doctor, maze, funga mdomo yako. Do you know most people go through depression because of the advice? Someone telling you, like myself, someone telling me, Munira, shukuru ile kitu uko nayo. So now I'm telling myself, I'm not rich, but that's a question I was asking. So rich people shouldn't feel sad. Rich people shouldn't go through depression. That's a question. And I normally tell people, because I'm not medically educated, it will get better. So if you have nothing else to tell that person, usiambie mtu shukuru Mungu, especially from our community, we huna subra, humshukuru Mungu, wakufuru. Daktari amesema toxic positivity. You know, when someone starts telling you haushukuru Mungu, what is that person doing to you? Si anazidi kukufanya ufeel you're not even appreciative to God, right? So I personally tell people it will get better. Iyo tu. It will get better. And it does.
A round of applause. So before we close, we have this. Yes? You have a question? Before your question. We have this drink, Kericho Gold, that is from Gold Crown, gave us a drink for one of us. So we have our beautiful coach and the lady in red. They answered my question. So I want to know from you guys, who should I give it to?
Fungua wakunywe wote pamoja.
Oh, wagawanye. Sharing. Sharing is caring. Okay. So who for sharing is caring? Who for sharing is caring? Okay. Watu wamewasema mshare nyinyi wote. Okay, thank you so much. Let me get the last. And this is the last question. Kindly nobody else should lift their hands up.
Habari zenu tena. Kwa majina naitwa Halima Suleiman, natokea Rabai. Before niulize swali langu, Madam Munira anamuita, like she's my mentor, wanamfollow sana. So like
Thank you.
wanakupenda at some point and I want to be like you uko mbeleni. Okay, my question is, tulikuwa na discussion sisi before muingie, tulikuwa na group discussion. Alafu most of us tulikuwa sisi Waislamu wa Swahili wa kulelewa huku coast. Most of our parents, like me personally, my dad ni mtu ya believe kwamba like maisha yangu mimi like niko na maisha ya mume, kwamba like kuna vitu sifai kufanya kama msichana. How can I phrase? Like niko na organization yangu yenye niliregister na Advocates for the Rights of Women and Girls in our sub-county, Rabai sub-county. So kuna sometimes nitapata kama ni training maybe, ama nafaa kwenda mahali, ama nafaa kwenda ku-present kitu, ataniambia hufai kwenda, baki nyumbani. Ama waenda hapo, waenda na nani. Kuna hao maswali mengi yenye, pia washinda kujieleza pia wenyewe na personal level. So in that area, waza nishauri nini? Like, should I go for what I want, or should I go for our parents?
I think you really targeted me on that question because I was raised by an Arab father. My dad is an Arab from Yemen, very strict, religious. And when I told him I wanted to go back to school, he rejected it. So I don't know if I should give you my advice. Please, this is not on camera. I left and we were raised in Mombasa, so I left. I went to Nairobi to follow my dreams. And it took me about 4 years. I wasn't speaking to my father. And in those 4 years, by the end of the 4th year, I had already done a lot. So I had done my KCPE, early childhood education, O-level GCSE, and my public relations diploma. So nilimwekea zote nikamtumania. And then we became friends. In a nutshell. So for me, I will tell you, follow your dreams. I don't know the relationship that you have with your father. Maybe you can get someone to speak to him, because I believe my time and your time is totally different. I wouldn't want to put you in harm's way. But I believe if someone speaks to him, someone who is educated, I can speak to him as well. Maybe he might change his mind. Yeah, but follow your dreams. Yeah.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. So that was our time with my panel. Have we learned a lot from the panelists? Will it be helpful as we move on with our journeys? Thank you so much. That is what I love to hear. My name has been Pauline Magiri. It is always Pauline Magiri. I was the moderator today. Allow me to take a picture with my panelists as I welcome Sylvan to close for the day.